So fantastic to meet you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
taking the time to.
thank you for having us.
End of Summer, a really beautiful,
Thank you.
moving film.
Thank you.
Maybe for people who haven't seen it, you could start by saying what this film's about.
Okay. This is a small family drama and coming-of-age story set in 1998 during the World Cup. It's about three men from three generations, their growing up story in southern China.
And what gave you the inspiration for this story?
I think the biggest inspiration was because I left my hometown. I left China when I was 17. I did my undergrad in Australia, and I went to US for my graduate program. So it's been 10 years since I left China. So every time I went back, I found things are disappearing. Like those things in my childhood that they're disappearing. So I just wanted to keep those things, keep my childhood memory. So that's the very basic idea to start the whole thing.
And you've got an incredible cast there.
Yeah, they're good.
And they all interact so wonderfully. There's a great chemistry. In particular, the young boy who I believe was in Zhang-ke's film. Tell me about working with this cast, and particularly him.
So from the very beginning, it's just a kid's story. So when we developed the script, we thought we wanted to make the story for different generations, because we thought coming of age, this theme doesn't only apply to kids. So we want other generations also to have the opportunity to grow up. But the kid's still the most important character in the film.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to find the right kid. And so we hired a casting director in Beijing who is specializing in kids. And at the same time, because we shot the film entirely in Shaoxing, in my hometown. So I went to about 8 or 10 primary schools, talked to the teachers, and asked them to recommend different kids. So we received about 1,000 applications.
Wow.
So from these 1,000 applications, we chose 200 people for interviews. So Rong Zishan, the kid, he was one of the kids there. So we interviewed 200, and he's the best.
Yeah.
So I chose him not because of Zhang-ke's film.
No.
Yeah, because we didn't know. We actually didn't know. We didn't think of him from the very beginning. But we saw he was in Zhang-ke's film, and so we still do the interview, and we do the screen test, and he's just simply the best one. So.
And
that's
how
we
about
began. Yeah.
and how about them as like kind of an ensemble cast? How did you get them to kind of be so relaxed and look so familiar with one another?
I think everyone likes the story. I think, and those actors they really understand what I'm trying to do, the cross generation story, and how they interact with each other, and how they affect each other's growing up. So I think they're really invested, and that's how just the character. Each character has their own backstories. They have their own characters. So I think that's the basic of the film, and that's how we start talking about. So it's always about the characters, and I think they believe in characters, and they believe in me and my team. So everything went pretty well.
And what can you tell me about the aesthetic of the film? Because it feels like you're really immersed in this particular place, this particular time, and it seems as though the location itself was very crucial.
And that's basically my hometown. I grew up in that kind of environment, and that's part of my DNA, I guess. So when I was writing the story, or when we talk about the story, Shaoxing, my hometown, is the only option, or is the only choice that we wanted to make this film. And I guess everything comes very naturally. We didn't think too much about that. Yeah.
And you've mentioned some of the themes I think come out about coming of age, but you've also in the background got this marriage and the challenges they're facing, and then a guy kind of coming towards perhaps the end of his life and dealing with his issues. What were the themes for you, and how did you want to explore those?
I think basic themes are coming of age and family, because family is so very important in Chinese culture. And also because we set this film in 1998, and that's also my time, the growing up time for me. And I also think like mid 90 was it's sort of like a turning point for China's modern social transformation, because in 1997 Hong Kong's handover, and also China changed the leadership in 1998. So from 1997, so from 1998, all the political policies and economical policies start to change. Their new policies, so it starts to change the daily life of Chinese people, and that's how I felt the changes in my life. And World Cup, like 1998 World Cup, was actually the very first time China broadcast the entire game. So that was the collective memory for my generation. So and then that's also a big change. Like China started to accept more Western culture. I think that's also the background for this film, and how those things subtly changes the small families in China. Yeah.
And what does it mean to you for your film to be part of the first edition of Pingyao Film
That's
Festival?
really amazing. And Pingyao was actually our China premiere. So we were very excited to see our first audience in China. And Pingyao, I've been Pingyao once, like 3 or 4 years ago, as a traveler. But this time is definitely different, very different experience. Yeah, see these amazing cinemas here, because. Yeah.
And what are your views on the Chinese film industry in general? I mean, it's a huge market, but it feels like what Zhang-ke wants to do more here is like nurture sort of smaller young filmmakers as well. So do you see that that's something that's going to grow?
I think it's more like a producer's question. Maybe she can answer. Yeah.
But you can answer from the director's point of view.
I mean, definitely.
How it's better for your.
Yeah, definitely a lot more opportunities for young directors. And especially for me as a director who had education in overseas, I think there are definitely a lot more money, a lot of investors willing to listen to young directors' voices, and that's really good for me. And that's how I don't know about from the producer's point of view, how the market.
Yeah. How do you see the Chinese film industry just now, and where it's going to go next?
I think it's evolving very quickly, and then because I came to China in 2014. At the time, the cinema started to the box office has an explosion, and so everyone was chasing after the money and making quick movies. Like they spend maybe 3 months or less than 6 months to accomplish a movie with big stars. They spend a lot of money on stars, and then the audience will buy the tickets, and then they can get a pretty good box office. But then I think the fever actually slowly started dying down last year, and then this year it was very obvious that people only want to see the movies that they feel. Like they have a feeling, they feel the heart. And so I think it's a good turning point for the whole industry, because the industry is young and it's very willing to learn how to adapt. And then the whole industry is talking about how we should make good story and then make the good scripts. And then it's also opening to the opportunities of working with international markets. So that's also good for us, because we can definitely benefit from it. So this is how we view it. It's a great opportunity for the young filmmakers, but also it's great for everyone in this industry. Yeah.
And what do you think about this aspect of kind of East meets West? I mean, for me, watching this film, one of the things I love about it is that it's a window into a culture and a place and a time that I wouldn't necessarily be able to find out.
I think that's our goals. That's what we wanted to do, because we had education. We were educated in the States, so we learned classical narrative structure. We learned how to make a film that can speak to general audience. And also, this is the place and this is the culture that I'm belonging to. and I also want to use what I learned from the West to tell its Eastern story. And that's definitely, thank you for asking this question, and like that's definitely what we're trying to do, like telling a story in a way that a broader audience can relate to.
And what do you hope for the film next? You know, are you going to bring it to European audiences?
We're showing the film in Rome Film Fest, and I'm going to Minsk. It's showing next week in Minsk. And I think there are a couple of more festivals in Europe next year. And we're releasing the film in March or May in China next year. So hopefully there are more domestic audience will like the film.
Yeah, and we also have international sales before films who's wrapping our movies. So we are hoping that the international distributors will be interested and then purchasing the films from them, so we can show the film to the world.
Fingers crossed.
And then finally, have you got anything else in the pipeline? Do you know what you're going to be doing next, or are you taking a break?
We're doing a mini series. We're developing a series, like a 10-episode series, but it's still in a very early stage. But because the web series business is growing up as well in China, because China has a lot of streaming platforms.
And we also want to work with international platforms like Netflix, HBO, or Amazon Asia, because they are developing their platforms in Asia as well. And because the story is also an international story about an art dealer who worked in France, and then she comes back to China to find her roots, and then she found the family secrets that's hidden in Taiwan. So she needs to travel to Taiwan, and then there are like multiple layers of stories and myths to be solved. So it's a great way for us to practice the narrative structure, but also for him to showcase the whole story, the structure, and the different cultures. And we are trying to do this kind of story so we can blend different cultures together.
So that's the plan for now.
Fantastic. Well, can't wait. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your time.
Thank you for having us.
And congratulations again on a really
Thank you.
beautiful, wonderful film.
Thank you.